You're right, my name's Joe Cook. I'm a musician and a poet from Birmingham. I'm really blessed to be involved in the GAT 100 Stories Deep project. I think it's really cool. I did a video before looking at the lyricism, songwriting of traditional Irish folk music, which tells stories, and that's what we're going to look at today, but more across protest music in general. So, the first song I'm going to read for you is an Irish folk song called The Rocky Road to Dublin. Its origins are actually in English music hall. It was written by an Irish poet for English music hall performers. It's been featured in various books and various films, and loads of different artists have done reworkings of it, which I highly recommend you check out. The version I'm going to read for you is by the Dubliners, and it was sung by a man called Luke Kelly. Little bit of a Birmingham connection. Luke Kelly actually came over from Dublin to Birmingham to hone his craft as a folk singer and to expand his knowledge of folk music. He also got a lot of his political philosophy and ideology while living in Birmingham. He became friends with Irish activists and Irish communists, which really shaped him as a protest songwriter. He actually lived in King's Heath while he was over here, so that's a little Birmingham connection for you. So the song is very rhythmical. It's written in 9/8, which in Irish folk music we call a slip jig or a hop. The way you count it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1. So it has a very strong rhythmical pulse, and I'll probably end up slipping into that. It tells the story of a man travelling from his home in Galway to Liverpool. And it's a bit of a mouthful, but I think it's an absolutely brilliant piece of songwriting, so I hope you enjoy it. Well, in the merry month of May, from my home I started, left the girls a tomb, nearly broken hearted, salute my father dear, kissed my darling mother, drank a pint of beer, my grief and tears to smother, then off to reap the corn, leave where I was born, cut a stout black thorn and banish ghosts and goblins, bought a pair of brogues full of rattlers or bugs, fighting all the dogs on the rocky road to Dublin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hunt the hare and turn her down the rocky road and all the way to Dublin, whack for la di da. In Mullingar that night I rested, limbs so weary, started by daylight next morning bleaf and early, took a drop of the pure to keep my heart from sinking, that's a paddy's cure whenever he's on drinking, then I hear the lassie smile, laughing all the while at my curious style. 'Twould set your heart a bubbling, asked me was I hired, wages I required, till I was almost tired, to the rocky road to Dublin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hunt the hare and turn her down the rocky road and all the way for Dublin, whack for la diva. In Dublin next arrived, I thought it such a pity to be soon deprived of view of that fine city. Then I took a stroll, all among the quality, my bundle it was stole, all in a neat locality. Something crossed my mind, when I looked behind, a bundle could I find upon my stick a wobbling, inquiring for the rogue, said my cornet brogue, wasn't much in vogue, on the rocky road to Dublin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hunt the hare and turn her down the rocky road and all the way for Dublin, whack for la di da. From there I got away, my spirits never failing, landing on the quay, just as the ship was sailing, the captain had me roared, said there's no room had he, when I jumped aboard a cabin found for Paddy, down among the pigs, played some hearty rigs, danced some hearty jigs, the water round me bubbling, went off to Holyhead, I wished myself was dead, or better far instead, on the rocky road to Dublin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hunt the hare, turn her down the rocky road, and all the way to Dublin, whack for la di da. The boys of Liverpool, when we safely landed, called myself a fool. I could no longer stand it. Blood began to boil. Temper I was losing. Poor old Aaron's Isles, they began abusing. Hooray, my soul, said I. We shall again I'll apply. Galway boys were night and saw as I was hobbling in. With a load of hooray, I joined the affray. We quickly cleared the way from the rocky road to Dublin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hunt the hare and turn her down the rocky road and all the way for Dublin, whack for la di da. Whew! That's a bit of a mouthful right there. But there's loads of good versions of it. The Dropkick Murphys did a good version of it. Lankham did a brilliant version of it. So go check that out. And it's probably a lot better than my version. So anyway. So the next song is called The Moving On Song. And it's often referred to as Go, Move, Shift. It was written by Ewan MacColl, who was British born to Scottish parents. He's the father of Kirsty MacColl, who sang on the Pogues' Fairy Tale of New York. The song is about the travelling community, and I've read that it was inspired by when he had a conversation with the travelling family about the man's wife going into labour and asking for help from the police, and they were just, oh, you need to move on. So they had to move on while his wife was literally giving birth and didn't get any help from ambulances. And you can kind of tell that really, if that's true, you can kind of tell that it really inspired the start of this song. So this is called the Moving On song. It's often referred to as Go Move Shift by Ewan MacColl. Born in the middle of the afternoon in a horse-drawn wagon on the old A5, the big 12-wheeler shook me bed. You can't stop here, the policeman said. You better get born in someplace else. So move along, get along, move along, get along, go, move, shift. Born in a tatty hulking time in an old bow tent in a tatty field. The farmer said, the work's all done, it's time that you was moving on. You better get born in someplace else. So move along, get along, move along, get along, go, move, shift. Born on a common near a building site where the ground was rutted by the travellers' wheels, where local people said to me, you'll lower the price of the property, you better get born in someplace else. So move along, get along, move along, get along, go, move, shift. Born at the back of a blackthorn hedge when the white hoarfrost lay all on the ground. No eastern kings came bearing gifts, instead the orders came to shift. You better get born in someplace else, so move along, get along, move along, get along, go, move, shift. Winter's sky was filled with stars, but one shone brighter than the rest. The wise man came, stern and strict, and brought the order to evict. You better get born in someplace else, so move along, get along, move along, get along, go, move, shift. Wagon, tent or trailer born last month, last year or in far off days, born here or 1,000 miles away, there's always men nearby who'll say, you better get born in someplace else. So move along, get along, move along, get along, go, move, shift. So that's the Moving On song, often called Go Move Shift, originally by Ewan MacColl. Christy Moore's done a really nice version. There's a punk band called the Inner-Terrestrials that do a really nice version of it. So yeah, you should definitely check that out, and I'll make sure I'll put the link. So the next one I'm going to read is a little bit different. It's a song by Tracey Chapman called Behind the Wall. Not to be mistaken with the film called Behind the Wall, but it has the same title. Behind the Wall tells a story and is speaking about domestic violence. It's talking about intimate partner violence and domestic abuse. It's a very simple song, but I think it's really powerful and a very important song. And I think often in schools they look at conflict in terms of poetry, and I think this is also a form of conflict which needs to be spoke about. So it's a really stunning, powerful song, and the a cappella version is really amazing. So yeah, it goes like this. Last night I heard the screaming, loud voice behind the wall. Another sleepless night for me, it won't do no good to call. The police always come late, if they come at all. Last night I heard the screaming, loud voices behind the wall. Another sleepless night for me, it won't do no good to call. The police always come late, if they come at all. And when they arrive, they say they can't interfere with domestic affairs between a man and his wife. And as they walk out the door, the tears well up in her eyes. Last night I heard the screaming, then a silence that chilled my soul. Prayed that I was dreaming when I saw the ambulance in the road. And the policeman said, I'm here to keep the peace. Would the crowd please disperse? I think we could all use some sleep. Last night I heard the screaming, loud voices behind the wall. Another sleepless night for me, it won't do no good to call. The police always come late, if they come at all. So that's Behind the Wall by Tracey Chapman. And the last one I'm going to read, again, a little bit different. The last one I'm going to read is actually by Johnny Cash, the famous country western protest singer and very much an American icon. So the song I'm going to read is called What Is the Truth? It was very critical of the Vietnam War, and you've got to think that it was a time where country music wasn't critical of the Vietnam War at all. So Cash was actually asked to perform at the White House after having a conversation with President Nixon about prison reform. And he actually performed this song in the White House in front of all Congress and really important policymakers and stuff like that. And there's a really interesting documentary about it. And you can kind of see Nixon just sitting there with a smile on his face, just like frozen. But yeah, it's called What Is the Truth? The old man turned off the radio, said, where did all the old songs go? The kids sure play funny music these days. They play it in the strangest ways. Says, it looks to me like they've all gone wild. It was peaceful back when I was a child, when man could When man, could it be that girls and boys are trying to be heard over your noise, and the lonely voice of youth cries, what is the truth? A little boy of 3 sitting on the floor looks up and says, Daddy, what is the war? Son, that's where people fight and die. The little boy of 3 says, Daddy, why? A young man of 17 in Sunday school, being taught the golden rule, and by the time another year has gone around, it may be his turn to lay his life down, and can you blame the youth for asking, what is the truth? A young man sitting on a witness stand, the man with his book says, raise your hand, repeat after me, I solemnly swear. The man I looked down at his long hair, and although the young man solemnly swore, nobody seems to hear anymore, and it didn't really matter if the truth was there, and it was the cut of his clothes, and the length of his hair, and the lonely voice of youth cries, what is the truth? The young girl dancing to the latest beat has found new ways to move her feet. The young man speaking to the city square is trying to tell somebody that he cares. Yeah, the ones that you're calling wild are going to be the leaders in a little while. The old world's walking to a newborn day, and I solemnly swear that it will be their way. You better help the voice of youth find what's the truth. And the lonely voice of youth cries, what is the truth? So there you go, that was What is the Truth by Johnny Cash, and that's my little video for you. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'll post some links so you can check out the songs, and yeah, thank you for listening. Peace.